I'm going to be using a very reliable technique, which you can do anywhere. So you can see there's no terrain here to hide behind. And I want to evade missiles without getting hit, obviously. So what I'm going to be doing is running away from the missile. It's quite simple. So at the beginning of the engagement, I'm climbing, and that's going to get me into thinner air up high, which will give my missiles more range. After that, I'm going to descend into thicker air, and in thicker air, the missiles will be slowed down. So it's a common misconception that if you're higher, it wastes the enemy's missiles' energy because they have to climb through gravity. Like, that's true, but the air is far more important. So I've climbed. I'd like to be higher, but we spawn pretty close to each other. I'll fire off all my missiles. And I'm going to start cranking. So cranking, I'm putting them at the edge of my rear gimbal. This is just going to make it easier to go cold. I can see they have a lot of missiles on me, so I'm just going to go now. So just drop some chaff as I pass through the beam briefly. And I'm going to descend. So by descending, I'm giving myself more speed, and I'm also dragging their missiles into nice thick air.
Team A has the
Now, they're getting pretty close, so I'm also going to do S turns like this. Just weaving from side to side. I'm not pulling too hard because I don't want to slow down. Pulling around 5Gs, and I can see them on the RWR, they're not getting closer. So I'm just going to keep this up for a bit. And they're almost all gone. And you can see there's just one left, or two left. But they're nowhere near hitting me. So the general gist is you start your engagements high, that'll give you more range, you shoot your missiles, guide them for a bit, or cranking, and then turn away and descend. So the MAR is the minimum abort range, and that's the range at which you can no longer outrun the missile. So it's quite important to fire your missiles and turn away before you enter the MAR, because at that point you won't be able to outrun them. And so the MAR depends on your altitude and your speed, and the bandits altitude and their speed. So for instance, if they're quite low, then their missiles aren't going to have as much energy as if they were quite high. And if you're super slow, then you're not going to be able to run as far. So you can see there, because we're so low, we're right next to the ocean. Despite the fact that that guy was quite close, about 15 miles away, I was still able to run away and outrun his missiles. And so by climbing higher, that allows me to fire my missiles earlier and give them more time to guide them towards the target before turning away. Because of course when I turn away, my radar is no longer guiding them. So if I fire now and instantly turn away, there's a good chance they'll just fly out of the way of the missile and not even have to evade it. And you always want to make your enemies evade. Even though with these missiles I know they're not going to hit, but I just want to make them do something. Because otherwise they'll just keep flying straight at me. You can see there, as I pass through the beam, I drop some chaff. Most of them went into the ground, but there's one more on me. You can see it, it's underneath me. That's good. Be careful about not driving yourself to the ground when you look behind you. But yeah, now we're clean. And so now we're getting pretty close to the mark, because while I was going cold like that, they just kept flying at me. So that's one of the disadvantages of going cold. It really puts you in a very defensive position where you can't shoot back at all, really. So now, instead of going cold, I'm going to use chaff because I know I'm within the mark. And now I'm out of energy. There we go. when you're going cold, you really want to think about an exit strategy, or you'll die like I just did. Because I fired my missiles, I went cold, but because these players are good, they evaded my missiles, and then they just kept flying at me. So I had my back turned, and that allowed them, while I was getting slow defending all the missiles, they could just catch up to me and keep shooting me in the back. So in a lot of situations, you don't want to go cold. Or at least you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you can no longer go cold. So you want to avoid entering the mall if you plan on running away. And you also might want to think about where your team is. It's a lot better to run back into your team, because they'll stop you from just getting overrun by the enemies. So in a situation like this, I really shouldn't go cold, because they're right on top of me, and they've got more people behind them. And I've only got one teammate behind me. And by now I'm well within the mall, so I can handle the runway. The defensive strategy is to G-pull. So, hit it. And splash. And now, what the hell are you doing? Now I can run away from these guys because they're nice and far away. If I want to. So sometimes you'll want to run away, get in a better position, climb, get speed, and then re-engage once you're in a better spot. I'm gonna fly my missiles. And I'm not really expecting these to hit, but it's called a posture shot, so I'm just trying to get them to defend, to put me in a better position later on. So this one has come in from above me. There we go. What I should have done there is chaffed or jeeble.
Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé. J'ai allumé le feu, mes chagrins, mes plaisirs. Je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur trémolo, balayer pour toujours. Je repars à zéro. Non. Rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, car ma vie.
There we go, that's one. So there's another, but now I'm way too slow and this is way too close. So I'm not going to run away from it, I'm just going to chaff it. So behind him. Alright, yeah, I got him. Fuck's sake. I just got friendly fire. The hell, man? Alright. Chaperone killed Waffle. Yeah, Chaperone is my teammate.